3, 4. Sparks with my two guitar buddies here back at SILB Productions, and we're getting ready for our next lesson, which will be the chords to one of my very favorite rock tunes, and I'm sure one of yours too, Sweet Home Alabama. I really hope you guys are enjoying these lessons. If you are, hit the like button and or subscribe. This is a test run, but we really would like to get this off the ground for the blind, but also to really have the sighted and see what a blind person can really do on a guitar, not needing to read music and still do things on a guitar. And some people will progress much faster, some much slower. For me, it took 6 months before I had my first chords down. For others, it might take it might take a while. Some people are stuck pretty much doing... Yeah, they're doing oldies all day long. Or some like... Yeah, they're doing this all day long. Well, you know, some guys are... And if you're doing that, sometimes they... Yeah. Like Bo Diddley, you know, kind of... but no guitar should ever be ashamed of their progress. Everybody learns different. Everybody has a different way of approaching it. It's a little different to ask me about it because since I, and not to brag, since I have absolute hearing, which can be a blessing or a curse in some situations. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. My way I learned is going to be different. I don't want anybody to be just like me. I don't want anybody to, because if you do that, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to beat yourself up. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to have fun with it. I want you to be successful in your guitar chords and in your learning. Try to, when you learn, if somebody says you got some bad habits, learn from them, because otherwise, if you don't learn it now, those old habits are going to die hard and die slow, and that can be quite painful. So learn from those bad habits, learn from those mistakes while you can in the beginning. B.B. King only knew 2 or 3 chords, but he still made his living doing... That's what he did all of his living. And then there are guys that left the guitar, like me, for a while. I kind of got bored just playing the same old cowboy chords or capo chords, or... Christian music chords. So I left the guitar and I went and played bass for a while, and then I got bored with that. I went to lap steel. I got bored with that. So I was always reinventing myself with different instruments, but never reinventing myself with guitar. And I realized early on I had prejudgments about certain guitars, even like this guitar right here. But boy, new advancements are always being made to benefit those guitars in one way or another. There are certain shortcomings. Every guitar will have a certain shortcoming that somebody doesn't like. And just like every player will have a certain shortcoming that not everybody will be able to have patience with. The truth of the matter is, I'm teaching students who are blind, but also I want sighted to understand, because just because that guy can't see doesn't mean he can't learn. And doesn't mean that if I tell him first string, first finger, first string, second fret, he's not gonna go to the 5th fret. He's gonna count 1, 2, and when he puts his finger there, it's common sense. And then and move all these chords, and he'll eventually be able to play a D chord. He'll be able to eventually play a C chord. He'll eventually be able to play a G chord. And we're gonna learn those chords today, and that's what this is about. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. Again, click the like button, click the subscribe, and if you have any comments, please let us know if we can help you, better yourself as a blind person, or even as a sighted person that has a blind member of the family that's trying to learn, and you have a teacher, oh, I can't teach him because he's blind. He can't read the notes, he can't do this. I was trying to learn bagpipe, and I can't tell you how crushed I was when somebody said, "Oh, he can't read the grace notes. He can't read the music for bagpipes, so I can't teach him." I can't tell you how rejected I felt, because and I don't want to judge. Again, certain people have a certain way of thinking, and they're very set in their ways. How narrow-minded as it may be, they're set in their ways. But not everybody is like that. Everybody has an opportunity to learn. Everybody has a first, a second, a third, and a fourth chance to be able to pick it, to be able to learn. And as long as you're having fun with it, do it. So with that said, I'm going to go into the chords. So you already know your D chord. There we go. So the D chord, again, just if you lost place, first finger is 1st string, 2nd fret. Second finger is 3rd string, 2nd fret. Third finger is 2nd string, 3rd fret. And that's how that, and then your open string is a D. We're gonna learn, now that we know the D chord, we can learn the C chord. And the C chord is pretty straightforward. You're not cramped. Like the A, you're not super cramped like you are here. You're not kind of cramped here like you are with the E chord. Each chord has a certain kind of uncomfortable feeling behind it. The C chord is not really that it's a little bit more comfortable, but yet you might have to stretch a little bit. Another thing to note, when you're dealing with a guitar and you have small hands, you might want to have something with a thinner neck. And that means you might have to go to a steel string, because nylon strings are oftentimes built with a thicker neck. But if you need to, if you have small hands, you can go to a steel string, or even a cheap electric, just as long as you have a nice little battery-powered amplifier you can have to practice at home, or even a headphone amp. And we'll discuss that later, because there's so much stuff out on the market. It's a lot easier for guitarists to get into the market than it used to be back when I was growing up. And that's only, I'm 38 now, and when I was started, I was 16, and practice amps were kind of big. They were kind of bulky still. But nowadays, you can get little bitty practice amps with little bitty speakers, and you can just jam out to your heart's content and not have to worry about, son, turn that volume down. So now let's go to the C chord. The C chord is pretty simple. First finger, 2nd string, 1st fret. Second finger is your 4th string, 2nd fret. And the 3rd finger is on your 5th string, 3rd fret. So again, I will tell you the position. First finger is 2nd string, 1st fret. Second finger 4th string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger, 5th string, 3rd fret. I'm going really slow so that you have a chance, because when I was taught 1st finger, second, it was very, because I understood fairly quickly what they wanted. Since I had the absolute hearing, I could feel my way around. And if they said that so fast, okay, yeah, I know where to go. But I'm explaining it slow enough, first of all, so that I don't get discombobulated when I speak the chords, because all these numbers flying around in your head can get kind of gobbledygooked. Secondly, so that you don't get gobbledygooked with all the numbers going around. You get the idea of how it's shaped. So that's the C chord. Now we're going to go with the G chord. We're going to do a fairly simple G, which puts your 1st finger, 5th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 6th string, 3rd fret, and your 3rd finger is on the 1st string, 3rd fret. Again, 1st finger, 5th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 6th string, 3rd fret, 3rd finger, 1st string, 3rd fret. There we go. Now we're talking business. Now let's get to the song. The song, we're going to kind of do it a simple way, and then I'll show you the hard way.
Hey, Willie, really quick, just to review, because I noticed you left it out this lesson. On that D chord, you only hit those bottom 4 strings, right?
Yes, you only hit your open string, which is your D.
And then on that C chord, you don't hit that.
You don't hit the open string, but you hit the 5th string. In this case, you hit
the bottom 5 strings.
Yeah, you hit the bottom 5 strings. So we're gonna start at a slow speed. So, and we're gonna play it sort of like this, at this speed. D, C, G, D, C, G, D, C, G, that at that speed. If you have to rewind it, go ahead and do that for that little bit. Practice it at that speed until you get good. And I said, all right, let's see if we can move it out. Well, let's try it at this speed right here. A little bit faster. And we're going to do D, C, G, D, C, G. Then we go to D. C and the G. Hold that G right up and do the D, the C, and the G. If you're good with that, then we can pull it up to full tempo. 1, 2, 3, and do this. Start to play lead guitar, then it gets really nice and fun, because the original chords are D, C, and G, but you have what's called a sus chord. A sus chord is a suspended chord, and so basically what you have is this start with a D sus, and you could do this. Now we're going to have the panel discussion come in and talk a little bit about this. All right, so as I said before, now we're going to bring the panel discussion in here and discuss a little bit about maybe some pointers you might have with this very tune. Sasha, you brought up a good point earlier about the key. Most people think it's in the key of D, including Willie Sparks. I always thought it was in the key of D. Now, Sasha.
No, the key is actually G, but it starts with the 5 chord. But that would be another topic for another video.
Actually, no. Why don't we bring... This is a perfect time to bring in some theory. Now, what we're talking about in this case, you hear a lot of 1 chords and 5 chords. Sometimes, if you're in a band, all right, let's do a 1, 4, 5 shuffle in E.
So that would be a kind of
That's a 1, 4, 5 shuffle.
And you know why? But I can explain it in the key of C. That would be very easy to play.
The easiest to explain.
It's kind of a the 1 chord in the key of C would be C. It's
The
like
4 and the 4.
Now wait a moment. And okay, we do the 4. The 4 would be F, and the 5 chord would be G. And you know why is it? Because it's harmonized the C major scale with chords. I summarize it. And the first chord is C. The second chord is D minor. The third chord is E minor. The fourth chord is, of course, F. The 5 chord is, of course, G. In that case, would be G7. The 6th chord would be A minor. And the 7th chord would be, but it's not very often used, B diminished. You are right, B diminished. That would, and in Nashville, and if you're in a band and they say we do a tune like 1, 5, 4, 2, then that's, I think it's called the Nashville system, and now step theory. Summarized into 2 minutes.
Yep, that's pretty much it. So,
And honestly, you don't have to understand that now. It's just kind of background. Tuck it in your back pocket for later.
Because you're going to need it.
I don't go deep in it.
But this is an intro to it.
And actually, that's pretty much as far as we're going to go with
And if you don't get it, don't worry about it.
Well,
know this that
sorry that I interrupt you, Willie. But if you want to play, like not every, but kind of the typical, a lot of songs, and a lot of songs. If you know that, a lot of songs are logic. Because if you have that chord, then it comes that chord.
Most songs are the 1, 4, and 5.
1, 4, 5. Maybe 2 or E minor.
Maybe a 6. In the case of a lot of oldies, I alluded to this in the earlier video. So there you have. I'm going to lower this here. You have the 1, 6, 4, 5. Now why is in this case you have the 1 here, which is G? Because didn't you say C was 1? No, in the key of G. Now the scale changes. Now you have C as the 1. Now you have G as the 1. Now you have C as the 4, D as the 5, E as the 6, F sharp as the 7, and so on and so forth. The 2 would be A minor, and B would be the third. B minor would be the third.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and actually there are a couple of songs that actually have this. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. All right.
And that one, a lot of songs got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially stuff from the '60s.
Yeah.
So, yes. So in this case, this song starts on the 5 chord, in the key of G, in Sweet Home Alabama. We're back to Sweet Home Alabama. It starts on the 5.
Yeah. It goes to the 4 and then to the 1.
Yeah. Little tuning issue there. There we go. That's better.
And again, doesn't need to be understood now, but it's called Dorian mode.
Yeah.
We begin with the 5th of the
Yeah.
yeah.
And this one, this is I have to mention that this is a great tune for started for a beginner. But if you play it correctly, Willie will show us later on. If you play it correctly as it is on the record, you can put a lot of time in it, and it's great for getting better and better because it's still the 3 chords, but there are a lot of tricks in it. But
yeah. So one of the things when you're beginning, you're gonna play. Sasha likes to call them cowboy chords.
yeah, cowboy chord.
What we're teaching is open chords, and it's the simple version. You're learning the backbone. You're learning the foundation of what is to come later, and you're not gonna sound exactly like the recording. Although, like Wild Thing, that's pretty much
Pretty much what the Chords did was right down to it.
right. But something like Sweet Home Alabama, you're not gonna sound in your beginning stages. You're not gonna
It's
sound
basically that's why I meant it's basically a simple song to play,
Yeah.
but if you want to sound like the record, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, and don't worry if it takes you a years to get there. It can take someone years.
It probably took me, I would say, a year and a half to get to that point where I was doing this, and I'll show you how it is on the record. To my best knowledge, I'm not Gary Washington. I'm not Alan Collins, okay, or Ed King, or any of those guys that were part of Leonard Skinner. They were really good musicians, straight out of Atlanta. So here we go.
For you.
Yeah.
Back to the simple way of playing it. We haven't touched a whole lot yet on like strumming rhythm. Do you have any words of encouragement for our blind guitar learners with regard to getting the rhythm of the strumming?
Yes, I do. Most of what you will be doing is, on the whole, are downstrokes. If you do upstrokes, they're usually meant to ornate the passage. A good case in point, Sweet Home Alabama. All right, you have down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, down. I'm going to slow it down so you can get the idea of how we would do that. All right. So I'm going to slow it down to about here. So for strumming pattern, if you're going to do that, you're going to go down, down, up, down, down, see, that's how. That's pretty. You know, most of these. Anytime you do that, you're gonna hear a lot of down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, down. You'll have different variations you'll even do a down pick on a certain string, down, down, full, down, down, part, down, down, single string, down, full. I mean, there's what that's called a cross picking technique. You can do that. There's so many different ways to do that, but for the beginning, you're just gonna do down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, down. I think that's how I did it, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was important. And then I think the only other thing to reiterate that I can think of is that learning guitar takes massive amounts of time and energy in the early stages. I always tell people, it really, it needs to be a passion. I mean,
Yes.
when I first picked it up, I would literally, I was a full-time student, worked a part-time job, and I would lose sleep and practice 2 or 3 hours at night, driving my wife at the time nuts, staying up playing, because you have to really repeat and work really hard to develop that hand memory, muscle memory to be able to change those chords in time.
Yep, especially
And
then if you get into, and that's gonna pay off, because as soon as you start doing like what I just did a minute ago, there's and you start doing stuff like that, then that you will be glad you spent the time you did in the beginning, because then you don't end up coming into a situation where you're not ready. Somebody calls you in for a solo, and you're in the key of A, and you're doing Johnny Be Good. You don't know what to do when you do. Even pros make mistakes. So
Yeah. But at every level, whenever you're taking your guitar player up from beginning and then you're taking up, whenever you're going up to another level, you have to develop that muscle memory.
Yeah.
To be able to play in time, and so the point is don't be discouraged.
Nope, absolutely
Don't be discouraged.
not.
Put in the time, put in the effort, and you'll be well rewarded.
Absolutely. I mean, it's also like, my wife would also tell you the same way in learning a language. Put in the time, put in the effort. Because music is another language. Basically, if you think about it, learning an instrument is kind of like a second language. It's an extension of you. So it's really important. I don't care whether you play. I started out playing clarinet and trumpet. I had to make that a part of me. When I fingered the F, when I fingered a G, didn't matter. 2 valves here, 1 and 3 here, or first and second finger on the left hand here. The right thumb is somewhere on an octave key or whatever on a clarinet. Or I'm doing a slide. I Rhapsody Blue. This is a really cool clarinet slide in Rhapsody in Blue. But there's a lot of effort that takes. But once you get there,
It's great.
It's very rewarding. It's a very, very rewarding experience. If you enjoy music and it's really a passion and it's really in you, I mean, there are classical guys that do 4 and 5 hours and 6 hours a day. Okay, I think that's a little overkill. Don't make it a regiment, like a strict regiment. Make it fun. Make it with feeling, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be a part of you. Or if
you put music in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't expect to see progress in one practice session.
Heck no.
It is the sum of your effort over over days and weeks and months.
Days, weeks, months,
that
years.
several weeks from now you'll say, wow, I can do something that I couldn't do when I started.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's you know, I think the guitar is because it's so there's that much styles what you can play on. It's a never-ending journey, and it's a great instrument again. And I say it with all that intensity. It's a great instrument for understanding music. Great.
Yep, absolutely.
Maybe not the easiest one, but a great
Yeah.
instrument.
Let me tell you,
to
when,
understand.
to try to play the riff from Jessica on piano, it would be much harder.
Oh
than-
yeah,
than
it's made for guitar.
because it is not made for piano. It's made for guitar, and I'll show you what I mean. Ah. Yeah, that's
You
not-
can't
can't
play a
bend
slide.
no-
You can't play a slide on a piano. But anyway, it's
Yeah.
about guitar.
Yeah, and there's things that you can do on a piano you can't do on a guitar. So
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It's more concrete,
yeah.
as we said.
But you can. There's so many fun things you can do with a guitar: bending notes, sliding notes. You know the
You
whammy
can't
bar.
do that.
All
You
this
can't
stuff.
do that. You
on
can't do
piano.
that on piano.
No,
Yeah.
you can't even do it.
Yeah.
You-
Ace Frehley, shock me.
Yeah, but you know who was the first to do unison bend?
Who?
Chuck Berry.
Yeah. He wrote. He was one of the first, inspirational figures of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like without him, no Beatles, no Stones, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And with his little signature,
Duck walk.
his duck walk.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, in St. Louis, Missouri, there was actually a club that he helped to develop. That he helped to build. It's called the Duck Room, and that was kind of his headquarters when he was back in Missouri, because that's where he's from. He's from St. Louis, Missouri, and he played at the Duck Room every time he was at home. And boy, it was a good show.
Well, anyways, don't forget to hit the like button
Yeah.
and subscribe and leave your comments. Let Willie know what's helpful here. Let us know what's helpful.
Absolutely.
And whether you'd like to see these continue on. The current format is kind of a magazine format,
Yeah.
not just a pure lesson, but encouragement all around
Yep.
what it takes to develop as a string instrument player, beginning with guitar. And we'd love to hear from you whether
Yep.
this is something you'd want to continue or not.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you much.
Bye for now.
All right. Take
Keep
care.
playing.
Yeah.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.